Good morning, coffee moaners. Good morning, good morning. How are we all? Thursday, the 8th of January. We're a week in, and my God, America is making its presence felt, isn't it? How are we all? Hello to all of our American followers. I know 10% of our viewership is from America. I think 8% is from Ireland. I think 6% is from Australia. The dogs are getting to know each other in the background. You can hear some friendly growling. Toffee trying to play. Toffee. Morning, team. Obviously, the big news overnight or from yesterday is this shooting. Bear with me a second. Is this shooting? Toffee, our older dog is teasing the little dog. Is teasing Pepper with a tennis ball. So she keeps literally bringing the tennis ball in, dropping the tennis ball in front of Pepper, and then growling. Oklahoma Doll is 1.5 hours up the road. So yes, for anyone who isn't in the know or isn't across this or aware, sorry, bear with me 1 second. Pepper. Sorry for those of you on podcast. For anyone who's unaware, this is the story in Minnesota in which federal agents, ICE officers, immigration and custom enforcement officers shot and killed a woman during a large-scale immigration enforcement operation in Minneapolis yesterday. I was up with Nanny Di last night, Vicky, but that's not the appropriate time to give an update, but I will later. Anyone from America, in America, who is kind of, just aghast at this. We have talked about at great times, at many times, the potential consequences of ICE, the potential ramifications of ICE, this enforcement force that go around in masked, camouflaged outfits, banging on doors, dragging people out, people being disappeared, people being forcibly sent, often not known where. I mean, it sounds remarkably like somewhere else. Who does it, for members of the class, who and where does it sound remarkably like? Masked, armied up, tooled up, weaponed up, faceless individuals charging around America, not needing to explain. Well, that's interesting, Tony Bartlett. Yes, Israel. I mean, of course, Israel. Well, I'm thinking Nazi Germany. I mean, it's banging on doors, knocking on doors. You're marked not by, and it's a broader reach, isn't it, than simply Jewish people. It's any immigrant. They're racially profiling people. They're making assumptions on people's legitimacy and legality based on color, based on accent, based on language. It's just shocking. And of course, Reese, thank you for reminding us, Minneapolis 6 years ago, where George Floyd was killed, and what they both have in common, the Trump administration. Exactly. I have a friend who lives in a neighborhood where ICE are just taking totally random people, says Laura Lou. She's so scared for her kids. Just terrifying. Well, of course, we're gonna with a bit of a kind of microscopic eye go through some of the footage that's obviously been swirling around. Probably everyone has seen the footage. There's a particular angle on it. There's eyewitness reports. We've got some clips of the incredibly outspoken Tim Walz, furious but encouraging calm. We have the chief of police. We have the mayor of Minnesota too, who just really quite, furious. There are marches, as I understand. She's doing loose stuff. There are marches already ongoing around New York and in New York. So, this, for me, we say it every morning, don't we? There's something in the news that potentially feels like, oh my God, could this be the moment where everything just goes completely down the sink? Is this the tipping point? Is this the final kind of straw that breaks a camel's back? Venezuela happens, and then isn't it amazing how then they just try and normalize the everydayness of it now? So it's like, okay, well, we're a couple of days past it. Donald Trump's posting about, oh yeah, We're going to buy oil. Da, 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 da. Then we've got the stupid, pathetic, which we'll talk about briefly, Defence Minister of the UK. Is it John Heaney, whatever his name is, claiming that the British Army were remarkable. British forces were remarkable in aiding the USA in intercepting an empty, clapped out, rusty rust bucket of a trawler. That's about the best we can hope for from our so-called army, though I'm not in the business of trying to kind of shame military prowess as if it's something to be fucking measured or proud of. But fuck off. Running around, we're the British, we could be proud of our what? Intercepting an empty oil tanker? You having a laugh? The reason you did it, the reason they intercepted the oil tanker, the reason that we had a fucking spineless, idiotic, I hate him, our defense minister, standing there trying to kind of, preen himself and say, this is something we should be so proud of our military and look at what we've done, is because basically, in a gross act of BDSM, Donald Trump has put our government in a cage in the corner and stapled its testicles to its thighs. And has said to basically our government, now be happy or do something, maybe do something to help us. I know what we can do. We can intercept an empty ferry. Let's intercept something. Just do anything. Send fucking planes. Do anything. Make something happen. Who will rid me of this? What's that quote? Who will rid me of this poisonous, of this damned spot, of this damned knife? Oh, anyway, sorry, I went off on one. I just find the oil tank, this idea that we should be proud of ourselves for aiding and assisting America in intercepting a fucking rust bucket. Get a life. Do you remember when we tried to fire, did we try to fire a Trident missile and it went in the wrong direction and it landed about 6 yards away? Fucking hell. I mean, one of the things I would like to have a chat with Zach Polanski about is how one pushes back against the tired old conservative line of, well, what are you going to do? The nuclear deterrent, and without a deterrent. The nuclear deterrent is there whether we've got one or not. I mean, we can't even fire ours. We can't even fire our nuclear weapons. Down the hatch, Sonny Jim. Anyway, back to Minnesota. Sorry, I do digress. Now, people are defending the shooting. So what I'm going to lead with the CNN's footage of the shooting. A little bit later, we want to get into, are we in the middle, because I think we are, of George Orwell's 1984 head fuck of an idea, where they tell you not to believe what you see, not to believe what you hear, and not to believe what you read. So let me just show you the footage in question. At the heart of this is a woman called Renee Nicole Good, who has been shot dead. She's a mother. And let me just show you the footage. This is as CNN run the footage.
7-year-old woman was shot and killed by an ICE agent in Minneapolis on Wednesday. Here's how it unfolded. CNN reviewed video of 3 angles of the shooting. The woman first can be seen in her car waving her hand out the window as 2 federal officers in a truck pull up. They then begin to approach the woman on the driver's side, telling her to get out of the car. At the same time this interaction is unfolding, a 3rd officer, who would soon shoot the driver, can be seen walking from the opposite side of the vehicle. That officer draws his pistol as the car first reverses and then begins to move forward. He then fires multiple shots. Another angle seems to show the car making contact with the officer before he fired his gun. The car then accelerates and crashes into a nearby parked car. After the shooting, neighbors asked to administer aid, shouting at the federal agents.
We have our own medics.
Where are they? Where are they? How can I relax? You just killed my neighbor.
Imagine that happening. Now, what's interesting about those clips? YouTube says that tourism to America is down about 3%. It's not enough, really, is it? What's interesting about that clip is you do see that second angle where he was coming around the front of the car. Look, we're gonna walk through some of the justifications of this. So you've seen that shot. Okay, let me just ask as a blunt question, having looked at those clips as presented by CNN, was she using her car as a battering ram, as a weapon, or was she, as many people who were eyewitnesses on the scene said, she was just trying to get away because she felt she was going to be grabbed and taken and what have you? Who feels that she was driving at a man in a way that was threatening? Because let me just pause you just for a second, because I've seen countless clips of ICE trucks, not ICE trucks, but as in Immigration Customs Enforcement Officer trucks and SUVs. It's going through many cities. I mean, me and Nadia see this footage, given the accounts we follow and interest in America. We see this footage all the time. We don't show it all the time. More often than not, there is always footage of an ICE SUV knocking someone out the way or almost running people over. It's de rigueur. And in this instance, whilst he was coming around the front of the car's wheels were turned. For me, the important detail is here is, I mean, I've had situations where you're doing a 3-point turn, someone's looking to get in the car, they get a bit confused, you don't run them over, but they almost actively lean into the corner of a car to go round it. Do you get me? And I don't think his body language would have been that close to leaning into it if he felt he was being driven at. And I think the other important point to make is you shoot out the wheels of a car, or you do a warning shot, or you shoot into the back. You don't shoot 3 bullets. And by all accounts, she was shot in the head. And the fact that the car drove off into the kind of lamppost was because obviously she was fatally wounded. And at that point, although still alive, I think she died on the way to hospital or at hospital. Surely there's a protocol, isn't there? I mean, and this is where America fucking scares me. And I've been in situations in America where I'm trying to think, where was it? Biloxi, a guy pulled a gun on me. In Beverly Hills, when we were parking a car wrongly, the police pull up behind you, the sirens come on, the big loudspeaker, the lights come on, cops come out holding guns, and you're just like, fucking hell. And if you think of the shootings that have happened in this country, and the analysis and the potential prosecution, et cetera, it just feels, the baseline in America feels really lawless. It just feels like you can just get away with just saying, well, he was doing his job. So we are now going to step through both Donald Trump, Kristi Noem's justification of it. Let's have a look at Donald Trump's Truth Social response. I've just viewed the clip. I mean, that's amazing because it lasts longer than 5 seconds. I'm amazed he did it. I just viewed the clip of the event which took place in Minnesota. It's a horrible thing to watch. The woman screaming was obviously a professional agitator. I think he's referring to the woman off camera. And the woman driving the car was very disorderly, obstructing and resisting, who then violently, willfully and viciously ran over the ICE officer, who seems to have shot her in self-defense. Based on the attached clip, it is hard to believe he is alive, but is now recovering in the hospital. There was footage, just to be clear, of him walking away from the scene after the shooting. He was not. Can you act? Does what Donald Trump, for anyone, I mean, don't be afraid, just say, does anyone recognize in the footage they've just seen what Donald Trump's just described? Driving the car disorderly, obstructing and resisting, who then violently, willfully and viciously ran over the ICE officer. They are just trying to do the job of making America great again. This is the kind of, these incidents are happening is because the radical left is threatening. Can you see the psyop here? Can you see the psychological game playing? Where you provoke, you make people feel unsafe, you make people, this was a woman, by all accounts. Well, let me play you this eyewitness. Let me play it in. I've just played you that clip. We've got many other clips to play in. So let me just remove the one of the shooting. I've got the shooting in slow-mo. I just want to play in this eyewitness account, which is just telling.
She wasn't trying to comply. I mean, she was trying to block traffic, and then they got aggressive, and she was scared, and she started to drive off. She was trying to comply with what they said to get out of here, and then And then they were trying to pull her out of the car, and that's when she got scared and tried to drive away. She got shot, and then immediately her foot went on the gas. She was I think she was already dead, but her foot hit the gas. She drove off maybe 100 feet and then hit the telephone pole and hit some cars, and then she was just slumped in her vehicle. And they wouldn't let anybody near her. They had their guns out and were saying, "Stay back, stay back, stay back." And we have a neighbor who was, he's a physician, and he was yelling, "I'm a physician. Can I please administer CPR? Can I check her vitals? Can I please get through?" And they were like, "No, absolutely." They said, "No, shut up. We don't care. We have our own medics on their way." And then it was like 15 minutes before the EMS truck got here, and the EMS couldn't get their vehicle through. So they arrived on foot. They couldn't get through because of the ICE vehicles, to be clear. So they came through on foot. It was maybe 5 EMS people, and they checked her out for maybe 5 minutes, and then they carried her body like a f***ing sack of potatoes. They didn't even have a stretcher. They carried her out to the corner where they took her away.
Like, let's just think about this. I'm sorry, we need to start connecting dots here. Charlie Kirk, when he was killed, there was no forensic analysis of the crime scene. The crime scene was cleared. There was no, I'm going to be really naive and stupid here. What happened to the good old fashioned days of a crime scene happening? Don't touch things at the crime scene. If she was injured or still alive, she should have been stretchered out, because there are so many other potential things you could do wrong to her. You could damage her, you could hurt her, you could make something inside, you could have easily, aggravated an underlying injury. So there's that. There's a protocol for how you get an injured person from a scene if they're still alive. So if she was still alive and you're dragging her away with like a sack of potatoes, that's one thing. If she's a sack of potatoes and is dead, then you have a crime scene. And call me old-fashioned, you draw a fucking line around the body, you fucking close off the fucking space, you put down all the roadblocks, you turn it into a crime scene. You don't drag her off like a sack of potatoes. I mean, the whole thing, and the reason I'm connecting this to Charlie Kirk is it looks like there is zero due process going on in any situation in America. Lawlessness has crept in already. So I just want to show you, this is a clip with the person that Trump in his Truth Social post was referring to as the shouting lady. This is the clip from another angle when they could see she was dead or bleeding out in the front seat. Listen to this.
Can I go check a pulse?
No! Back up! Now!
I'm a physician!
Hey, listen, we understand. We got EMS coming. I get it. Just give us a second. We have medics on scene. We have our own medics.
Where are they? Where are they? How can I relax? You just killed my neighbor. You caught butter in the face. You killed my neighbor. How do you show up to work every day? How the do you do this every day? You're killing my neighbors. You're stealing my neighbors. What the man?
And I think what you feel and what you hear for Donald Trump to and listen, what we have to do, I think I said it a while back around the Zionist Israeli lack of compassion for anyone who is a Palestinian. You are trying to appeal to people who have no souls. You are trying to appeal to morally dead people. You are trying to appeal to people so riven with hate and vengeance and hostility to anything that isn't them, that so I can't remember who it was who said when the Truth Social post from the president, under any normal set of circumstances, you would, even if you felt they had done something wrong, or you had to be, ambivalent so that an inquiry or an investigation could proceed, you surely reach out to the tragedy for the family and for the person who's died. And then you perhaps, if you think that it was justified, then sort of talk to the threats of to the police and ICE. But we are and I think this is a really important thing. I was talking to Nadia, me and Nadia were talking about this the other day when the Venezuelan thing kicked off. We are, as whatever you call yourself, if you're an activist or if you're just a humanitarian or if you're just someone with a very healthy hatred of the way in which dictatorial, oppressive leaders of parties like Farage, of Starmer, who's doing it by stealth, of Trump. If you're in opposition to that kind of style of leadership and the way in which they have an inhumane kind of approach to things, an amoral, a complicit, a contradictory, a corrupt, that they're unable to say anything, like we've watched Starmer pussyfoot around the fucking whole Venezuelan thing because he just can't say anything because he's worried what could happen, We all know why he's worried. We have to, as let's call ourselves activists, you have to, as someone calling these people out, you have to kind of choose your battles wisely. You are never going to get compassion from Donald Trump. You are never going to get from Benjamin Netanyahu any sense of an idea that the Palestinians have any right to anything. So don't have that fight with them. Or if don't have the fight, don't have the expectation. Do not have the expectation. What they are doing is they are constructing and creating across America a volatility, a lack of safety, a sense of unease, dis-ease, and frustration, fear amongst so many of the low-level grassroots population that the hope is the low-level grassroots population will turn on each other. And I think what we have to sort of really call ICE out for being is this. ICE is recruiting from those same grassroots level people who just hate all foreigners and lean towards the right. It's as plain and simple as that. Just because they're ICE officers doesn't mean they're not American citizens. Just because they're put in a fucking, faceless, maskless, they are one half of the American people, and the other half of the American people are all the people they're fucking rounding up. That's civil war. That's civil war. I just want to show you, because someone has died here, and I'm going to show you, this is a clip of the footage again with an image of the woman at the bottom, just so that you can put Renee was one of the kindest, extremely compassionate. Renee was one of the kindest people. She was extremely compassionate. She's taken care of people all her life. She was loving, forgiving, and affectionate. She was an amazing human being, said her mother. That's the woman beneath at the bottom there. Now, I'm going to say something that's really fucking contentious. The reason this will present more of a problem, it's a terrible fact to say, I'm sure Reese, I wonder if you agree with this. This will present more of a problem for Trump because she doesn't look anything like a foreigner of any ethnicity, anything. She looks sort of so American. I mean, of course, it's totally fucking spurious. No American. This is the lunacy. No American is American. No American is American. And in fact, when you go to America, this is the lunacy of the situation. When you go to America, most Americans, and I love most Americans that I've come across, because I haven't come across complete batshit fucking crazy ones. But most Americans are very proud of their migrant history. This is the biggest irony of all. It's a migrant nation. But anyway, she's not black. She's not a black man. And the reason I say that is that's at the lowest fucking part of the fucking, or is it? Maybe it isn't. Maybe a black woman is I don't know. I don't know whether there's a kind of perverted kind of, but in the category of white supremacist America, she doesn't look like, the Irish in Boston, absolutely. So that potentially presents a problem, which is why we're going to hear the word domestic terrorist. So let's have a listen. This is a tweet. I like calling it Twitter because it really annoys anyone who's into X. This is a tweet. Trisha McLaughlin. I looked up what her title is. I think she's a kind of assistant to the office government. She's a Trump, part of the Trump government. She posted this. Today, ICE officers in Minneapolis were conducting targeted operations when rioters began blocking ICE officers, and one of these violent rioters weaponized her vehicle Did you see that? Did you see her weaponize her vehicle? I think she put it in reverse and then put it into drive to move. And for me, going back to the footage, and we're going to watch it in slow-mo, the wheels were turning. You don't use your car as a battering ram with your wheels turned. You're maneuvering away from something, not into something. She weaponized her vehicle, attempting to run over law enforcement officers in an attempt to kill them. How do they, what? If that's the case, then every ICE SUV I've seen driving through every city and neighborhood in America is trying to kill people. But that's okay, because they're in uniforms and they're masked and they're part of ICE. It's this weird, curious thing we've got on the planet that it's really weird, isn't it? It's a bit perverted. It's like if you wear the right outfit, like the Israeli army, you can't be called terrorists. If you've got ICE written somewhere, you can't be a marauding thug. An ICE officer fearing for his life, the lives of his fellow law enforcement officers, and the safety of the public. I'm sure he didn't give a flying fuck about the safety of the public. Fired defensive shots. He used his training and saved his own life and that of his fellow officers. Now, this is being trotted out by a staggering number of people. I was listening to the radio last night, driving from my mother's, and there was a gun expert guy on LBC, and he was saying that he was going, no, he had to do what he had to do. You don't drive out, you know. So this, get used to this. This isn't going away. Just because we look at that footage and go, well, it's not like that. And just because we see the image of the woman and because we hear a sense of her, not her racial profiling, but her personality profiling, this is what we're going to be force fed. And I just sent, whilst you were listening to the eyewitness, I just want to pull in this quote because I think it's timely. And it's the quote from George Orwell's 1984. The party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. That is where we are at. That is what Trump and that McLaughlin woman, that's what they're all saying. So here we go. Here's Kristi Noem wearing an astonishing Stetson. She's so proud of her Americanana-ness. I want to know, I want to hear from any Americans in the room right now. Why do Americans always go on about where they originally came from? Even Americans who can't stand migrants. I don't understand it. I've never met an American who doesn't tell you, oh my God, you come from London. My God, my great lived in Bermondsey. Do you know, did you know Beryl? What, 250? No, I didn't know Beryl, actually. Sorry. You know Beryl? No, I don't know Beryl. Anyway.
Shooting that we just had in Minneapolis, Minnesota, it was an act of domestic terrorism. What happened, it was our ICE officers were out in enforcement action. They got stuck in the snow because of the adverse weather that is in Minneapolis. They were attempting to push out their vehicle and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle. An officer of ours acted quickly and defensively shot to protect himself and the people around him. And my understanding is that she was hit and is deceased. We're continuing to gather more information, but this goes to show the assaults that our ICE officers and our law enforcement are under every single day.
So that was she was dressed for the job, wasn't she? That was when she. It's like a scene from a film like Eddington. This is. Oh, Russ, when I've been to the States, they always presume I know the royal family. Yeah, exactly. Disgusting from the sociopathic cosplay. Again, it's all uniform, isn't it? It's like cowboy outfits, it's ICE outfits, it's masks. Okay, so I'm afraid we're going to stick with Kristi Noem because this just get used to this, bed into this. This domestic terrorist, this woman trying to turn her car right, not at someone, but he kind of does that thing that we all. I wonder, and I'm not making light at all of this situation, I wonder whether the ICE guy, as he came round the side and sort of he was thinking he was a bit Starsky and Hutch. There's that moment in the title sequence where you kind of roll across, people lean in to get a bit of momentum. I can categorically tell you, with the wheels, driving an SUV, if your wheels are turned to the right, as they were, she was in the process of turning. If he's got this training, he should have known that he was actually having asked her to move the car, stepping into the line of movement for the car. She wasn't aiming it at him. She possibly, like a responsible driver, was looking to her left as she was about to pull out. Let's hear from Kristi Noem a little bit more.
ICE officers and agents approached the vehicle of the individual in question, who was blocking the officers in with her vehicle, and she had been stalking and impeding their work all throughout the day. ICE agents repeatedly ordered her to get out of the car and to stop obstructing law enforcement, but she refused to obey their commands. She then proceeded to weaponize her vehicle, and she attempted to run a law enforcement officer over. This appears as an attempt to kill or to cause bodily harm to agents, an act of domestic terrorism. The ICE officer, fearing for his life and the other officers around him and the safety of the public, fired defensive shots. He used his training to save his own life and that of his colleagues. He was treated at a local hospital, has been released, and is now with family. I encourage the American people at this point in time to pray for him, but also to pray for the deceased's family and her loved ones. Because Governor Walz and Mayor Frey refuse to protect Minnesotans, and instead they protect these criminals, that's why we're here. And we didn't just show up yesterday, we've always been here. But we're surging operations because of the dangerous situation we see in this country, and because we're no longer going to allow illegal criminals to damage and harm, to kill, to sexually abuse, to proliferate drugs, and to steal American taxpayers' dollars.
It's just amazing. I can see Natasha. It's staggering. And let me just pop this back up for you, Natasha. As George Orwell said, the party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. Let's not forget, because we've all fucking pussyfooted around this topic, we were told an incalculable number of lies about October the 7th in order to justify, legitimize, and sanction the genocide of the Palestinians. We're not going to get into the nitty-gritty of exactly everything that was fraudulently put out to the world, but massive amounts of everything that was said and claimed to have been seen, to have been done, was a lie. And it's been proven. The New York Times has had to apologize. This is the reality we're in now. Do not trust your eyes and ears. Why do you think Donald Trump is so actively supporting, investing, and getting into and wanting America to be the leading country in the world for AI and all the capacity for deceit and manipulation of truth, etc., etc., etc.? All of this has successfully eclipsed whatever was redacted from the Epstein files. Everything is all inextricably entwined in a great big circular fucking ball of rubber bands. And when you pull one out, there's another, there's another, there's another. It's all inextricably entwined. Now, this incident, I don't think this was staged. I think this is the thing that everyone who knows what could happen when you put aggressive, marauding bands of thugs in masks on the streets of America. And to be brutally honest with you, countless other incidents like this or close to this kind of thing have occurred since Trump sort of initiated the whole ICE project. But the point to make here is that this is when people have been resistant to the idea of ICE or concerned or worried, and then people have come on in this chat room and go, well, we need to do something. Yeah, no one's saying one shouldn't do something about migration and immigrants and the rest of it. But it's about how you do it. If you land Star Wars style SWAT squads into neighborhoods, you will be met with fear. And what does fear do? To quote Yoda, fear can lead to anger, it can lead to hate, and it can lead to misunderstandings. Hi, Christos. Christos drawing a parallel, very, very good parallel. I said it before, I'll say it again, watch the 2024 film Civil War. You will then understand what the US is actually becoming and ultimately will be. Dystopia won't even describe it. And this is, you're absolutely right, Christos. And this is, and that famous moment, the infamous moment in the middle of Civil War where Jesse Plemons' character stands there with a gun pointing at the various characters that were following and says, and they say, I'm an American. And he says, what kind of an American are you? It's the most chilling statement in any movie. The rest of the film was a bit questionable, I thought. But I thought that moment speaks to the truth of America. Because it's what America is, what is happening in America right now is everyone's asking, what kind of American are you? And weirdly, what America is, or what Trump is trying to do in the rest of the world, is say, what kind of a supporter of America are you? Final quote from Christy Noam, the cosplaying cowboy from hell. I think you're right. Someone reminded us in the chat room. She killed her own pet. She shot her own dog. That takes some fucking balls. You've got to have zero fucking heart. What kind of people are these? I'm beginning to wonder whether actually the aliens are here. And they've, mind you, I don't even necessarily think, why would, it's like saying, it's like insulting toddlers, saying, you know, toddlers have got more heart and capacity for understanding than these Muppets. Maybe aliens do too, but it feels like you've got to be possessed to have this lack of compassion. Final quote from, and then we're going to get on to the anger of the mayor.
I say that he doesn't know what he's talking about. It's very clear that this individual was harassing and impeding law enforcement operations. Our officer followed his training, did exactly what he's been taught to do in that situation, and took actions to defend himself.
Okay, obviously something wrong with our mic as well. So what I'm going to do now, before we go, we're going to go to the mayor of Minnesota, and we're going to hear from Tim Walz. But I'm just going to show you once again in slow motion the moment. Okay. There's a guy at the front. She's turning. See, the wheels are turning. 2, 3. I mean, call me old-fashioned. If she had been driving at him, he wouldn't be standing. It wasn't like the gunshots were happening and then she turned. She was turning. She was turning. So I'm now going to play you the Minneapolis mayor. Here you go.
To ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite. People are being hurt. Families are being ripped apart. Long-term Minneapolis residents that have contributed so greatly to our city, to our culture, to our economy are being terrorized, and now somebody is dead. That's on you. And it's also on you to leave. It's on you to make sure that further damage, further loss of life and injury is not done. We're going to be working towards justice as quickly as we possibly can right now, and justice is what we've all got to get. Next, the message to our community. Look, we all know that the agenda of this Trump administration is to create chaos. Let us respond right now with our best versions of self.
And I want to just pause him there because I think this is where Tim Walz comes in. Tim Walz obviously was the running mate for Kamala Harris, the vice presidential candidate. What he's got to say is good too.
Message. We do not need any further help from the federal government. To Donald Trump and Kristi Noem, you've done enough. There's nothing more important than Minnesotan safety. I've issued a warning order to prepare the Minnesota National Guard. We have soldiers in training and prepared to be deployed if necessary. I remind you, a warning order is a heads up for folks. And these National Guard troops are our National Guard troops. They're teachers in your community. They're business owners. They're construction professionals. They are Minnesotans. Minnesota will not allow our community to be used as a prop in a national political fight. We will not take the bait.
Now, what he's saying there is quite astonishing, really, because it's quite it's quite combative. Because I think for anyone outside of America, I don't know if you remember around the time that there was all the issues of sending the National Guard from this part of America to Los Angeles and sending the Los Angeles National Guard up to Portland and all this kind of stuff. I think what he's clearly saying there, Tim Walz, and there's another part of his speech where he also says we need to present the best version of ourselves. He talks about the fact that Donald Trump, whatever fucking name is with a cowboy hat on, the pet killer, you know, they want people to take the bait. Now, I genuinely don't think, just given the nature of how it happened, I don't think this event was staged or constructed or planned for in the specifics of the shooting. But I think an event like this is exactly what the creation of ICE and all of this volatility was about creating. And so whilst I think the specifics of this incident, no one sat down with a map and said, let's target this poor woman and shoot her. But I think there has been an idea. In fact, probably no ICE officers have thought, well, let's go out and actually get someone like this. But the governance, Trump, Kristi Noem, they know, this administration in America knows that by just having ICE going into communities in the way that they are, this is infinitely more likely to happen. And so Tim Walz, in another part of his speech, says there that it's really important for Minnesotans to if they want to protest, engage in your constitutional right, but absolutely do not take the bait, which, fuck me, is hard, because it's like saying, and this is again, in our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians. It's all well and good for imperialist white motherfuckers around the world to say to the Palestinians, don't resist, don't fight, because otherwise you're terrorists. And then get on the ground and put yourself there, white imperialist motherfuckers. And then when your home goes, when your relatives go, when your system of governance, living and economics and livelihood goes, then you try and we'll tell you not to resist. So it's all well and good, I get what Tim wants to say, don't fall in. And there's a great phrase, it's called a bear trap. Years ago, I mean, we all know what bear traps are. I've literally stood in a bear trap with a sleeping grizzly bear. Not many people have done that. When we were filming in Montana, I said to the guy, I said, I want to get in a bear trap. He said, what? Literally, he said, it's a running joke. Bear traps are a thing. They set bear traps to catch bears. We caught a bear. We were doing conservation work. We caught a bear. It was tranquilized. I went in because I wanted to film the body, film the teeth, get all this stuff, get a sense of I was in a bear trap. I know a bear. No one knows a bear trap better than me. This is a bear trap that the American government is laying for the population of America that doesn't sign up to eradicating, removing, and if needs be, killing anyone who is perceived to be a foreigner. Anyone who's perceived to be a foreigner. David King, even if they've told us to get out of the car, using a gun, there has to be a whole range. In this country, maybe you don't have it there, but in this country, even if someone doesn't get out of a car, and she's turning the car, you chase, or you shoot out the wheels, or you do something else. You don't shoot her in the head 3 times. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. That might be your idea as an American of the way to deal with someone turning a car to get to move the car. Or get away even. Was she holding a gun? Had she shot anyone? Was she a danger? No, you put yourself in front of the car and made it dangerous. This is a specious, spurious nonsense. This means ICE agents can just literally, I bet you any money now, ICE agents are going to stand in front of cars more often. And what? Then every single fucking driver is a justified target? This is madness. This is madness. Shoot out the wheels. Don't be so close to the car. Get out of the way. Where's his responsibility? And as someone has just said in the room, so many of these, I don't necessarily think the ICE agents are, but so many troops and so many police forces in America trained by the IDF. Wow. And I just want to remind you yet again, reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. They had a car reg, Janina, and absolutely track the fucking car down. Overzealous, overdramatic, pumped up, Viagra-style fucking federal agent action. ICE agents, you're right, YouTube. ICE agents go through no training whatsoever. It's a bunch of fucking hoodlums. And on that note, where's this other clip that I've got? Well, anyway, look, so I want to play you this. So I've shown you the shooting in slow-mo. I just want to show you this after the shooting. So this is the kind of state of affairs after the shooting. This is kind of, that's an ICE vehicle. Look, driving at someone. So look, the guy at the front of the car, he's driving at them. Now that's an ICE agent getting out, threatening to shoot. I mean, these are the kind of scenes that we're going to have to get used to. What we're looking at here is a car being surrounded. And then do you see how you then have a situation? ICE agents go into a town, cause complete bedlam, anger, fear, frustration. There's any kind of resistance and surrounding of a car. That's easy footage for Trump and the woman in the Stetson who kills her pets to say, oh, surrounded by fucking domestic terrorists, take them all out. Take them all out. This is where we're at. This is the kind of narrative that they're seeking to justify. This is what they're after. This is the fucking bear trap. This is, you fall into the bear trap. I just want to find, there's a clip here somewhere. Let me just see if I can find it. Oh, I've got AOC just commenting on this. Let's have a listen to this.
We have now seen, and what we are seeing is that ICE is not just becoming an anti-immigrant force in this country, it is becoming an anti-civilian paramilitary organization. People are getting taken off of the streets for exercising their free speech rights. The president himself has asserted that, in fact, one of the reasons that this murder may have been quote unquote justified is on free speech grounds. So this is now turned into what our greatest fear is and has been for a long time around ICE, that this will be used as an anti-civilian force.
And I'm really, really pleased that River Widefall draws our attention to this. Mark, the Democrats are using that Orwell quote. I'll pop it up whilst we're the same party who told us that the genocide wasn't happening. This is yeah, you're absolutely right for saying that. I'm pleased you've said that, River Widefall. Do not think for a minute that this quote regarding George Orwell is only applicable to Trump. The Democrats, Biden, the vast majority of Americans who support the Democratic Party, who want to deny the truth, the authenticity, or the ability or the rights of the Palestinians to resist, indulge in this quote too, have tried to gaslit the world about what has been happening in Gaza and is still happening in Gaza and the West Bank. Total gaslighting. So I would like to say this, because we are personally on the side of any American civilian who's getting caught up in these ICE horrors. But if you're one of those people who are fearful of, angry about, wishing to resist, wanting to push back against ICE, and yet you supported Israel, you've got a major fucking problem in your head, because you have now become the Palestinians in your country. This is a microscopic example or parallel to what they've gone through for decades. And if you're not willing, understandably, if you're not willing to tolerate it now, I'm just saying this to any American who is anti-ICE but doesn't get on board with the idea that a genocide has been committed, that the Palestinians have any right to resistance, and that Israel has committed a genocide. And I'm not saying there are many necessarily, but if there are any, this is the moment that is screaming out, you too are a Palestinian. I just want to find this clip. I think I might have forgotten to kind of bring it in. I've got the eyewitness, we've done AOC. There's a clip I've got somewhere of a young guy remonstrating with, oh no, I haven't taken it in. Let me just see if I can find it. It's basically someone in an ICE outfit who had a Nazi insignia tattooed on their neck. I can't find it. So I'll have to let that go. Shilly, how are you all feeling about this, guys? I mean, it's so staggeringly difficult to comprehend or believe or get on board with. We said from the beginning, says Shilly, we are all Palestinians because we knew what they got away with there would come home to roost. This was a testing ground for how far they could go. Yeah. She didn't drive away. She was shot, you moron. Her foot was on the accelerator. So Victoria McKay, because you've called me a moron, you're banned. It's as simple as that. Sorry, darling. But I just want to say that when you're turning a wheel, and if you're accelerating away from someone and you step in front of it, you're pretty likely to get caught in front of it. Okay, so cheerio, Victoria. We are all Palestinians, Rachel Thomas. Anne-Marie Glasgow, so disappointed. Let's face it, we'll probably never see Scotland qualify again, but no, it's not. Oh, okay, it's not. I think that's a World Cup side of it. The US World Cup is going to be like the German Olympics in the 30s, Shakir Al-Bad. That's so true. That's so, I mean, the only way to kill the World Cup is don't watch any of the fucking matches. I mean, the security situation around the World Cup, who feels there could be some fucking potential massive disaster around that? A false flag. And I mean, there's so much that we can't trust. Meanwhile, I just want to go off on a sidebar. Here's the, was it the Coalition of the Willing? No, the Coalition of the Willies. There they are, look, signing pieces of paper that are never going to come into action anyway. Keir Starmer yesterday trying to distract us all away from his spineless, gimpified nonsense around Venezuela by claiming that intercepting a fucking oil tanker was some kind of fucking major hoo-ha for the British military, and then signing a document saying that France and Britain will put troops on the ground to manage the border between Ukraine and Russia if a ceasefire and a peace deal is found. That's the... Hang on a minute. I could not believe this was a news story. I could not believe that Keir Starmer and the government were plopping this out into the world like it was an achievement when the major detail in the Ukrainian situation is there's no fucking peace deal. This is all speculative fucking nonsense. This is all governmental shit to distract. We can't fire missiles, and we're chasing rust bucket trawlers and claiming, yay, look at our army, aren't we? Look at our forces. Whee! We intercepted a really dangerous empty oil tanker. You're having a fucking laugh. It's pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. Shooting. Oh, okay. Hang on. So I've got the clip. This is a combination of clips. Check this footage out. This footage yesterday was really arresting. Check this out.
As soon as that perimeter collapsed, Boris, what we really saw was people begin to condense onto the law enforcement vehicles, and they were throwing snowballs at them. Did you see that? Can you see that they're throwing, it looks like snowballs or maybe chunks of ice at the vehicles? People here are really angry. And right now, because the Minneapolis Police Department is among the law enforcement still on the ground, that anger is singularly directed toward the Minneapolis Police Department. And that highlights the real challenge for law enforcement in cities where ICE is descending on this area and causing these flare-ups between the public and law enforcement. Minneapolis police were not involved in the shooting, and yet they are here taking the heat that people feel because of what they saw ICE do here in Minneapolis.
I can see that apparently someone's saying Rachel wasn't caught. Okay, that's the danger of just having strong language in the chat room. So can someone send me Victoria's whole handle, and then I will unblock her. I'll get Michelle to unblock her. Thanks for clarifying that, and apologies for blocking you. Again, if you see unpleasant behavior from anyone else, don't use strong language, because if we see strong language and if the system sees strong language, it flags it up and we immediately block. We have zero tolerance. So it's not your fault, and I'm pleased everyone's kind of just pulled in and said that. But if someone can just tell me what the handle of the person was without writing at, because it will block that too. At, thank you, at Rachel. Let me take a photograph of that, and we will unblock you, Rachel. Again, if someone in the chat room is talking shit, we will pick them up. We will deal with them. Don't you deal with them. Don't cross argue. They'll just get you fired up. You've got nowhere to go with it. Okay, so apologies again. There you go. That's how someone sows discontent. Just like fucking ice, isn't it? So apologies, Rachel. We'll resolve that afterwards. Just going to stick with this footage because there's one other shot here. There's another sequence where someone in the crowd remonstrating with ICE. Here we go.
Get back! Get back! Get back! Let go!
I can believe that.
Kill someone else! Run for it! Kill someone else!
Can you believe this is America? Can you believe this is America? Chaos. And this is what he wants. And the frustration with all of it is, I couldn't say with my hand on my heart that if I was there, even though it's what he wants, even though it's a bear trap, even though I've been in a bear trap, and I know I don't want to be in a bear trap, not Rachel, the block person's name is Victoria. Oh, bloody hell, I'm getting so confused. Sorry, again, what the lesson here is don't use abusive language either way in the chat room. We'll try and resolve it. You know, I couldn't say with my hand on my heart that I wouldn't want to resist too. No amount of Tim Waltz saying to me, don't, it's all right for you, Tim, and your great big fucking flash home. We're on the street dealing with these motherfuckers coming into our neighborhoods. That's the problem. That's the problem. Isn't it? That's the issue. Trump wants a reason for declaring martial law, Persephone personified. He does, and I mean, this might inadvertently just give him the opportunity. Wow. So let me just pull up the quote one more time. The party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. Just remember that, guys. Remember that. We've already had idiots in the chat room trying to make out like it's okay to shoot someone who's turning a car. She was not driving into a crowd. She was not driving. She wasn't using a car as a vehicle, as a weapon. If you stand in front of a car whilst it's turning, you're possibly going to get hit. So get out of the fucking way. Jan, I feel sorry for the Americans who just want to live their lives. I agree. Trump is going to make it in such a way. Trump is going to make it in such a way that nobody will be able to run against him next term. They will be classed as terrorists. Oh, no. Okay, Rachel, look, I don't know who said what to who. Rachel, sweetie, I mean, obviously you're not blocked. Whoever was blocked was using language that I got a flag up on YouTube saying unacceptable word. You click on it, you block. And that's why it's really important, guys. If you get lured into some kind of dogfight with someone in the chat room, stand away from it. Step away from it. Unless she was shot and ambulance denied, just like Gaza, Moira Blackie, one. Yeah, very similar. The way those ICE agents were just saying, get back, don't worry, it's all right. Anne-Marie Glasgow, if there was any major developments, would you consider doing an evening recap? No, you're busy. You know what? It's funny you should say that, Anne-Marie. I was toying with, because of the American side of things, and because we have such a large American audience, I do wonder whether sometimes there's not like a night. Do you remember we did night shift in lockdown? But actually, maybe a sort of like late night kind of catch up on some stories, certainly, or on what's going on. Hi, MeTube. We need your calming influence. Yes, White House needs escalation so Supreme Court can agree deployment of military on US soil. Yeah. This all feels so incendiary, says Bede ALA, for average American citizens, doesn't it? Oh, and also the most important thing to remember is that Farage wants to introduce his very own version of ICE. I mean, thankfully, at this point in time, we don't have guns in the same way. So, it's kind of, we don't have guns, but it doesn't mean that people can't still be manhandled and dragged away and guns can't become involved. I think Nigel Farage is quite a fan of guns, isn't it? MeToo, without the ability to label citizens as terrorists, White House can't deploy military against your city. I mean, but look, it's true, MeToo, you're absolutely right. But isn't it pathetic and sad that this poor woman turning her SUV, not driving at 40 miles an hour at someone. I mean, we would be in a completely different situation if she was driving at someone at speed. She wasn't even at speed. Every ICE SUV I've seen driving through populations is going faster and more dangerously. So if they're going to use a woman, a mother, turning her car to get out the road, perhaps not stopping when she's been asked, but just turning. I mean, I didn't stop the first time the police told me to pull over in Beverly Hills. And then I was asked to pull over on the way to Vegas. If you just shoot straight away, either step back, let the car turn, as it drives off, take out its wheels. There's countless other ways of doing it. We've all seen the fucking Hollywood movies. But if she's now going to be, if she's the prime example of a domestic terrorist? Oh my God. Oh my God. We've entered a brand new wormhole of madness. Anyway, guys, that's your lot for now. As I say, we will keep across this story. We will be updating it. It's sad that it's taken this sort of story for us to really, we've always said that we want to keep highlighting ICE, the immigration and customs enforcement teams and their behavior in America, because rest assured, if reform get in, it will be our very own curiously rubbish British version of it. And I don't mean rubbish as in ICE is good, but you know what I mean? But there will be a British version of it, of rogue thugs in wrongly fitting camouflage gear marauding around. I can see it. And it frightens the fuck out of me. So if that's enough to make you not vote reform, don't vote reform. All right, guys. See you later. A vlog will be landing, and I think a Nadia Unfiltered is also landing later today. Take care, guys.